Welcome to Wildlife Outdoors with your host, Russell and Jose. If you have a passion for conservation of the outdoors, or you're enjoying a calming hike in the mountains, an exhilarating kayak trip on the river, feeling a fish on the end of your line, cooking on an open flame in a primitive campsite, or stalking big game, just waiting for the perfect shot, you're in the right place. So put on your boots and polarized sunglasses and come along for the ride.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Jose, and we're joined also by Russell, of course, and avid outdoorsman, veteran, husband, and podcast friend, Victor Martinez, who will be here to just shoot the shit and just hang out with us. So thanks for coming, Vic, and if you don't mind, just introduce yourself to everybody else.
All right. So, like you said, my name is Victor Martinez. A little bit about me. I grew up pretty much down the street from Jose. You know, we've been fishing outdoors. He used to go with us camping, fishing every time we'd go to the beach, summer trips, all that good stuff. We have countless of stories I could think about, just us two getting into trouble in the outdoors or whatnot. But anyways, a little bit more. 5 years in the military. I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Best job I ever had. I was a paratrooper, man. They paid me to jump out of airplanes and lead soldiers. My unit was deployed to Afghanistan in 2017 and again in Iraq in 2020, where unfortunately I got hurt. I was medically retired. I tried to fight it. It didn't work out. But I'm home now. I get to be with my family every day. And now what I do is I work for Waterloo Rod Company, a more conventional side. I know y'all are fly fishing guys, but now I'm starting to pick it back up a little bit. So, I mean, that's really it. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah, well, we're glad that you're on with us, man. I know that I've known you for quite a few years. I don't even remember how we met. Was it through football or?
I think so. I
want to say it was through football. So, yeah, I mean, we've always called him Vic, but in case there's any confusion on social media and stuff like that, is Josh. He goes by his middle name, Josh. So we'll call him Vic because that's what we've always called him, but he goes by Josh in his normal day-to-day life. So just to avoid any confusion there. But yeah, so we've known, both me and Jose have known him for years. Jose has known him longer than I have. Jose told a brief story last podcast about how he played football for his dad. Pretty funny story on that. So, but yeah, we're happy to have you, man. And so you say you work for Waterloo Rod Company. Where's that based out of?
Yeah, Victoria, Texas. Yeah.
Nice. And you've been with them for how long?
About a year now. So I enjoy it. It's not the Army, but it's pretty close. Guys are in there, pretty fun. We always play jokes on each other, but we always get the job done. So
that's good. That's good. Fun. A good sense of camaraderie there.
Yeah, for the most part. We're all big fish heads. We love being in the water, love fishing. Our boss is really cool, Jimmy Burns. He always, if we, feel like we're getting burnt out, because it is monotonous work doing the same thing every day. Yeah. He lets us take a day off to go fishing whenever, just give him a heads up,
Dude, so. That's awesome.
That is pretty sick. Do you ever get to field test any of the rods there, like any of the new stuff, or?
Actually, we do. So it's actually pretty cool. Whenever we're trying out new blanks for a new line of rods, we'll wrap them for us and get to go out and test them out, So I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Sick. I know that they do collaborations with K Wigglers and stuff like that. We're one of their big sponsors for their guides and whatnot. And they have a few episodes out on YouTube and stuff like that. But yeah, we give it to our guides that we sponsor and everything. That's pretty cool. We get to do a lot of hands-on.
Dude, that's awesome. When I used to fish conventional a lot on the coast, I used to have I think it was I can't remember how long it was, 6'8" or 7 foot medium fast action Waterloo rod. It was a salinity.
Salinity? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, dude, that thing was sick, man. I loved it. I use it for throwing top waters and stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's super. I mean, that rod was one of my favorites. It was so light, too, man. That Waterloo knows how to freaking throw a stick, dude.
Oh yeah, no, they do.
How long have they been around for?
That I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you. For a while. To
That's
be honest,
awesome.
We get some rods that come in that are 15 years old. I'm sure they're older, and they still cover the lifetime or limited lifetime warranty.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
That's pretty.
I feel like they're getting a little more like mainstream because I've seen them on the shelf at Academy and stuff at times.
Yeah, we have.
At least here in Texas. I don't know about like around the country, but here in Texas, I've seen them I mean, even in College Station, I think I've seen a few.
Yeah.
And of course, some of the bigger rod and tackle shops like was it Fishing Tackle Unlimited and Roy's down in Corpus.
Yep.
I mean, and then they have like a wide range of Waterloo rods, and I can't remember which one it was, the mag or something like that.
The carbon mag. Oh, I love that one.
Mag.
That's my favorite.
Talk about a feather, man. That thing is nuts.
Oh yeah, that's my soft plastic rod all day through and through. I love it.
Do you have a particular like length and action you like, or
for the most part, dude, I throw all 7 foot because I do a lot of kayak fishing. That 7 foot, if that fish is running around the bow of my kayak, I'm able to not like have to overextend to try to get it around. I just recently started switching to the 6.6, just because that's what they recommended. You know, my boss was like, "That's all I fish with, 6.6." It's like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. I love it. I have a 6.6 slam mag. All mine are custom for me. Like, I red, white, and blue. They have the 82nd emblem on it. I was First Brigade 2504, so I have that on it as well. And it's, I don't know, it's pretty cool, you know. But all my stuff's color coded same. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I see that you have a kayak that's all red, white, and blue too. So I bet your rods match that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so. Man, because I like wade fishing. I love shorter rods, like 6 foot, 6'8". That's like my favorite. But now that you mention it, I can see how having a longer rod, especially kayak fishing, because sometimes those reds and stuff, they like to go right on your kayak, and it's a pain.
Oh yeah,
having that longer reach can really. I never even thought about it like that, but that's something that's a really good point to make if someone's in the market for a rod for kayak fishing and stuff.
Yep.
Unfortunately for fly fishing, it doesn't quite work that way. We don't really have a lot. I mean, our rods are super long. You can find some shorter sticks, but for the most part, they're like, I mean, your I guess quintessential saltwater rod's going to be at least 9 foot long. Maybe 8.6 or something on the shorter side, but which can at least for me, it can get a little cumbersome on the kayak just because it wants the tip. Like if you just have it, you know, like at least for me, whenever I'm kayak fishing with my fly rod, I have it in between my legs just so that way if I see a fish, I can just grab it and go.
Yeah.
But it wants to snag on everything, like every little mangrove, any grass floating on the surface. Oh, dude, it's so frustrating sometimes, but it does help because I have hooked a few fish that try to go into that kayak, and it's nice to be able to just kind of stick your rod out and just, you know, maneuver them out without breaking your rod too. That's a big thing.
I almost broke one of my rods not too long ago because I forgot to take the red flag from when I'm towing it. I forgot to take the red flag off the front, and my line got wrapped around it, and then I was trying to unhook it, and I didn't want to lean too far forward, and then my fly, I had an articulated fly, so 2 hooks got stuck in the flag, and I was like, this is so stupid. So what I did is I just reeled it up tight and put it aside and grabbed my second rod, and I stayed like that the whole time. It just stayed hooked in there until I got off the water. I was getting so aggravated.
Yeah, dude, I've lost a few reds, unfortunately, because of that I'm too lazy to take off my flag, and they'll run at the bow of my boat, and I'm like, oh man, especially if I'm throwing like a corky that has double treble hooks and whatnot, banging it for trout. And
I don't know if I ever told either one of you guys the story. One of the weirdest ways I've ever lost a redfish, some buddies and I were fishing some flats out in Port Aransas, and it was a pretty slow day. But towards the evening, towards like maybe we had an hour worth of sunlight left, something like that. So the bites started picking up. So I was throwing, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was a gold and black back Rapala skitterwalk.
Oh, love the skitterwalk.
Yeah, man. It was a smaller size, but I was throwing that, and I had a redfish come up and smack it, and I had it on for a little bit. And so for me, I'm really bad about like carrying a net. And I should, like, now when I wade fish, I try to. I've lost too many fish. I lost a massive flounder one day, the biggest flounder I've ever hooked, and that's what convinced me to buy a net and start carrying it with me. But anyways, before I get there, so I'm fighting this red, and I'm like in maybe, I don't know, shin deep water, something like that.
Yeah.
And pretty shallow. And so I'm fighting this fish, dude, and I get it towards me, and it tries to run between my legs. and one of the treble hooks was sticking out, and it snagged my booty, my neoprene booty. So it snagged there, and it started like death rolling, and it popped off, and the redfish just kind of like sat in the water, like, what the hell? And I guess when he realized like there was nothing, he just bolted, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, of all the ways I could lose a fish, it's gonna be like that. But I had the damn skitter walk in my booty, man. So I had to cut the neoprene part to the booty and just pull that thing out. I was so mad, man.
Dude, that
so mad.
Sucks.
I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been straight into my ankle.
Right.
But so I'll take the booty. But dude, it was ridiculous. The dumbest way I think I've ever lost fish in my life so far.
Dude, that's one thing that I've noticed about redfish is sometimes they're like shocked. Like they go in shock. Like Vic sent me a video of somebody that he knows the other day, and dude lost a redfish at the boat, and it was just chilling under his boat, and he's like, he didn't see it swimming, and he's like, well, I guess it's under the boat, and then he moved the boat, and there it is, just chilling. I was like, any other fish you catch, they're not going to just stay there when it gets off. They're going to be like, oh shit, and be gone.
I don't know what it is about them, man. It's been my experience that when you're fighting them, they're doing everything they can to get away from you. But then once you actually have them in the net or have them in your hands, they're pretty chill, dude. They're just like, just do what you got to do and just let me go or whatever. Right. But I've never really had one give me a hard time. Not like trout. Trout will freak out. Yeah. I hate handling trout. But redfish are pretty, and black drum are kind of chill too. But redfish are super docile. Like I've had them like where I just release them. They just kind of hang out for a little bit and then mosey on out, whatever. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
I had one time. I released it and it just like nosedived and just stayed there. Like I thought it died, so I had to hop out of the kayak and I grabbed it again. And I just spent like a minute or two reviving it, and he just went off. He just went away, but he was fine. It just scared me. I thought he freaking died. Yeah. But
damn, man.
Yeah, redfish are some of my favorite fish, dude. I love redfish.
Same. I haven't caught too many of them, but the ones that I've caught have been pretty good size. So I guess that's probably why I like
dude.
them.
You don't have to brag to us. Jesus.
That's just why I like them. But I'm sure that they're like, I think I've only ever caught one slot red my entire life, and
must be nice.
And I mean, I haven't caught many though.
All mostly oversized.
You've probably caught 100 more redfish than I have, though. So if we're going for quality over quantity, like you've probably more than 50 times the weight of fish that I've caught. So I mean, it's kind of even.
You don't have to belittle me, Russell.
Hey, I'm not trying to belittle nobody.
I don't appreciate your condescending tone right now.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, redfish are pretty fun. I do remember though. I don't remember where I was at. I want to say I was probably at what is that pier over on Port Aransas? Is it like IB McGehee or LB McGehee or something like that?
Port Aransas
or Bob Paul.
Yeah, I've fished Bob Hall.
Yeah, Bob Hall a lot.
Maybe it's not Port Aransas, but it's somewhere on the Texas coast. But I used to fish there a lot, and I remember I caught a slot red one time, and I caught it on a silver spoon, and so that's the only like slot red I recall catching. It was on conventional gear, but I just don't fish saltwater that often, so
yeah,
it's kind of one of those things.
I've never caught a good sized red from the pier before. They've always been undersized.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this one time, I think it was the first time I ever went to the coast with Victor. We went to Galveston, Texas. We were kids, dude. We were like, I don't know, man, like 5th grade, maybe something like that. And we were fishing this pier in Galveston. And again, so 2 things happened that night. Just to reiterate, I had never really fished saltwater up until that point. This was my first time. So I was super stoked. My grandpa had some like bigger gear that he's using his past, and he let me borrow to take on the trip. So we're there, and I caught one of the first fish I caught was a hardhead, but to me it just looked like a little channel cat, right? So I think Vic's over there smiling, he knows where this is going. So I just I hook it and I catch it, and I was like, oh, I got this. And I just grabbed it like a normal fish, and it was not a normal fish, dude. That thing split like. It finned me so bad. It split the webbing between my thumb and my index finger.
Oh, yeah. I remember that, man. You bled a lot. We tried to yell, no.
Yeah.
Too late.
There was a lot. And it hurt, man. It really hurt. My arm was just wrecked for the rest of the evening. It was not fun. Actually, the only 2 times I've ever been finned was when I was with you. There was that one, and there was the other time in Rockport with that little tiny like micro hardhead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
dude.
glad I'm your good luck charm. You know.
It's
Gotta
some
keep
kind
you
of
on
luck,
your
but
toes.
it's some kind of luck, but it ain't good, man.
Good for me, because I'm not the one getting stuck.
Fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, dude, that was my first, I guess, foray into saltwater fishing. And then it might have been the last night we were there. There was these two guys. They were fishing with I think it was a Mickey Mouse pole
Oh yeah, I remember
from
that.
Walmart. Yeah. And dude, that thing is doubled over. Like, oh, that's probably just, like a little black drum or something. And then this thing comes to the surface. It was like a 36-inch redfish on this
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse push button pole
Yeah.
from Walmart.
That's
But the
freaking
line
crazy.
looks the line looked thicker. I think they replaced it with, I don't even know what pound test, maybe 20, at least 20, I would think. It was pretty thick. And dude,
Yeah.
they fought this thing for like 30 minutes. Everybody just was like gathering around to see the spectacle. And then there was a bait shop on the pier, and they had like drop nets and stuff. So somebody ran and grabbed the drop net, and they hoisted this big redfish up. Dude, that was my first time seeing an oversized redfish. I was like, "What the hell?" I had this I don't know, it was like an 8-foot long, medium heavy spinning rod with, I don't even know, like all this fancy shit, and these guys are just wrecking it with a little Mickey Mouse pole on Bob Hall, or not Bob Hall, but some pier in Galveston. It was nuts, dude.
Yeah.
That's freaking
yeah.
awesome. Dude, I remember the first big drum that I saw was a black drum, and we were there fishing Copano Bay in Rockport, Texas. And I believe it was my brother Marcus that hooked it. And he was probably using shrimp or crack crab or something. We were fishing at the end of the lights there on Copano Bay at the end of the pier. And he had hooked it, and he fought it for a good while. But we didn't have a net or a gaff or anything like that. And he brought it up, and we saw that. I mean, we just saw this huge, big, ugly broadside come up, and we're like, holy hell, how are we going to get this up? And so we're fighting. And he reaches down, and he's trying to grab, because he has a steel leader. So he grabs a steel leader, and he's trying to pull it up. He's almost falling in the water. So he has my niece, Hannah, and me holding his legs. My brother, Jesse, standing on top of him over the rail, trying to lift the rod. It's a whole team effort to bring this fish up. And I don't remember if it was that one. I think that one, if I'm not mistaken, the hook straightened out and he lost it. And
I mean, a fish that big, I can only imagine.
Dude, the thing was freaking massive. And he was using I think they were Eagle Sharp circle hooks, and it just straightened it out. It was either that one or it was another one, but I know that did happen. But there was another one that he caught that he brought up on the pier. It was freaking massive too. I don't remember if it was the same night or not, but I remember specifically that we were all as a team effort trying to get that fish up. And that was the first big drum I had ever seen. Of course, it was a black drum, but I was like, holy hell, I think it's freaking huge.
Oh, yeah. Man, I got to send you a picture. I one night almost broke the state record. I think state record is 52 inches and something pounds. And I caught a 49 incher. And I was like,
Dude,
oh, my
that's
goodness.
awesome.
Biggest drum ever. And I caught it on a rod that when I was working down at Tackletown right out of the military, right? People bring broken rods or whatever. They want us to throw them away. And it was a boat rod, right? So it's not anything crazy. I think it's like 5 foot, because of where it broke. And we just threw a tip on it. And I threw a 800 series pin battle on it. And I wasn't expecting to catch anything because you can't cast it far. So you have to helicopter cast it out, right? And so we let it sit it's the only fish I've ever caught on that thing. And it was a massive big ugly black drum.
That's
dude.
freaking awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't been to Tackletown in forever. Last time I went to Tackletown, I think was when me and Jose went to Tackletown. And
we went to Tackletown?
yeah, so it was the same time that we went down and we kayaked out of Copano Bay, right there by the bird management area or whatever. And I remember we went in there and they had a Shimano rep in there, and I got that Curado hat.
That wasn't me, because I remember I saw your Curado hat and I was like, dude, that's awesome. Where'd you get that? And you told me, oh yeah, Tackletown.
No, yeah, that's right. It was my brother Marcus. Yeah. Well, anyways,
I was like,
it was around the same time.
I don't think I've ever been to
Yeah.
You need to. Awesome people work there. The owner's amazing.
It's a nice little shop. But that hat that I got, so I got a Curado hat and I still have it. Dude, that hat has been through hell. I've lost that hat in the coast 3 times. I've lost it on the highway twice. One time I lost it. I was driving a dump truck when I worked for the county paving roads, and this dump truck that I was driving had nothing pneumatic on it. Didn't have any AC. Everything was manual. Even the drop gate for the tailgate when you hook up to the chip spreader when you're doing chip seal paving, you had to even reach out the window backwards and pull a lever to release the tailgate. Dude, it was old fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
And so since there was no AC and it was summertime, it was like triple digits in Texas. Of course, I had the windows down, and I'm driving down I-35, and I couldn't remember if I had locked my tailgate or not. And so I was like, oh crap, because I could have been spent, like I'd already dumped my load, but there's still some rock that could be in there. And I was like, oh crap, if I didn't lock that, like I could have been breaking windshields this whole time on the highway. And so I turned my head out the window and looked backwards to see if my tailgate was locked. And my hat freaking goes off, and I'm like, damn, and I'm already late getting back to the shop. And I was like, oh, this sucks. And so I went back to the shop and I got my truck. And if I'm not mistaken, it was when I was trying to buy the red truck that I have now. And so I was going to meet over, because I bought my truck, had 1,300 miles on it. Some older guy had bought it, and then the new Toyota came out that same year. And he's like the Toyota better. So he went and traded the Dodge in. And so I bought it from a Toyota dealership, and Toyota dealership was there. God, what's the name of that road? I'll say down there by the outlet malls where that Toyota dealership is.
Yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't.
Something with an M. But I was heading down that way. And so I went and talked to the guy, and then I left there, and I was like, man, I need to go find my freaking hat. And so I went out right there off 35, right there by Yarrington, and was walking along the highway and found the hat. Like that has been through so much. I lost that hat on the coast a couple times. I lost it on a pier one time, and I was able to rehook it and bring it back. I lost it on the kayak. I was able to find it. And then I remember one time I was in Mahia with my buddy Daryl, who I talked about a little bit on the last podcast. And we were over there having like a New Year's celebration, and we're just dumb rednecks, and we're shooting artillery shell firecrackers at each other. And they had shot one, and we were at our mutual friend Russ's house, and they got some property there in Mahia. And I don't remember, I want to say Daryl was shooting it. Somebody was shooting it, and it exploded right next to me. And one of the big sparks came and like caught my hat on fire. So it has a big burn mark in it. Like that hat has been through hell, but I still have it.
Did you still wear it, or did you just retire it?
It's retired. It's in the closet right now. Every once in a while I'll pull it out. Like if I just feel like I need some luck today and I'm going to go fishing, I'll pull that hat out, because it's been through so much. But at the same time, I mean, it has a huge hole in the side, and it's a real shallow hat because I have a real funny shaped head, and it's real small. And so I wore youth hats until I was like 25, and that hat fit me. And I don't remember.
Grew up.
Right, dude. I finally grew up when I was 25. I remember one time I was at the outlet malls there in San Marcos, and I was at the Lids, and I was under the influence when I was in there too. And so I was standing there looking at all these youth hats. And the guy's like, he's probably thinking this young, dumb, drunk college kid is in here not knowing what he's doing. And I'm looking at the youth hats, and I'm standing there trying to make my decision. And he's like, hey, man, you know those are kids' hats, right? I turned around and I was like, yes, I know they're kids' hats. That's what fits me. Thank you. And then I just turned around and walked out of the store. Like, it was so awkward. But yeah, I used to have to wear youth hats for a long time. And that was the first like hat that wasn't a youth hat that fit me. And so that's why I wore it all the time.
Dude, that's funny. I've had the opposite problem. I've always had a big freaking head, dude. Like playing football with Victor and his dad. They gave me the biggest helmet that they could find, and I would have to take.
It wasn't big enough.
It wasn't, dude. I'd have to go. I had to go to the sidelines, like I don't know, man, maybe once every 20 minutes just to take it off because it was like squeezing my head so bad it hurt. And yeah, man. Then I got my head stuck in the wall at a restaurant that one time.
At Garcia's in San Marcos.
Yeah. So. Oh, okay. Let me paint you guys a picture. So there's this restaurant in San Marcos called Garcia's. Very good food. The chile con queso is like, that's probably my favorite thing from there. It's chef's kiss, man. Phenomenal. But my family and I have been going there, at least maybe not that particular restaurant, but to Garcia's, because they've since expanded. We've been going to Garcia's since like like just a baby essentially, and they were probably going beforehand. But anyways, this one day we went, and I was, I don't know, man, 3-4 years old. And so when you walk into this restaurant, that restaurant in particular, there's like this L-shaped wall that kind of divides the waiting room from the rest of the restaurant. But it has like these little cutouts and stuff that you can see through it, right? And so they sat us on the wall opposite of that. And on the bottom, there's these bigger square holes. And so I'm just a kid. I have a little pink bouncy ball. I'm playing with my bouncy ball. All the adults are talking, not paying attention to me. And I lose this little bouncy ball. And so I sneak under the table. I still don't know how they don't notice that I'm gone, but I sneak under the table and I'm looking for it. I can't find it. And so I see those like bigger square holes, and I was like, oh, they might have went through the other side. So I stuck my head through, and I turned to my left, didn't see nothing. Turned to my right, didn't see nothing. I tried to get out, and I couldn't get out. So I started freaking out, dude. I was crying. And my mom starts freaking out. The whole restaurant goes silent. And then, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how long I was there. It felt like forever. It was probably like 5 minutes, realistically. But eventually, these firefighters showed up. I'm looking up, and there's this big dude just like looking at me, and he's kind of like looking at like how they're gonna get me out. And he's just like, hold on, son. And he grabs my head, dude, and just straight shoves me back through the wall. Thought I was about to lose my ears. It hurt so bad. And my mom starts yelling at me, and she's kind of crying because she was scared. And they're like, what happened? What were you doing? I was like, I was looking for my bouncy ball. And my grandma was like, oh, he's talking about this thing? And she had it the whole time, dude. Oh, man. And since then, I've been back. I mean, years later, and they had this like glass panel, so I guess no one else would get stuck.
They're like that one big-headed kid got his head stuck, so we need to put some plexiglass up there.
Hey, man, I took one for all the little homies that day. I saved a bunch of kids.
That's one way to look at it. That's freaking awesome.
Oh man, yeah. Freaking nuts, dude. But yeah, I'm going back to what you're saying. It's kind of funny how fishermen are like, well, I think a lot of people who really engage in anything, like sports in particular, but also hunting and fishing, there's always something that you feel like brings you luck. You know, I remember this one time, again, in Port Aransas, I was fishing with some friends, wake fishing. And man, the day was so slow. We hadn't caught anything. And I see this old duck decoy in the mangroves. So I go over there and I grab it, and there's still some cord to it, and I tie it off to my wading belt. And I end up running to one of my buddies on the flats, because usually when we get there, we all kind of go our own way. And if we find fish, we let the other people know so we can go over there. So I ran into one of my buddies, and he goes, "Dude, what the heck is that?" I was like, "I don't know, some decoy that I found in the mangroves." But I was like, "But dude, it's gonna bring me luck, man." And he was, "Yeah, okay." And dude, I'm not even kidding you. Maybe 30 minutes after I said that, I start tearing up some fish, and nobody else was catching. I was like, "Hey, say what you want, but this decoy is working."
Oh yeah,
that's freaking awesome. You have any good luck rituals, Vic, or anything like that?
Actually, I do. So I always wear the same. Well, almost the same outfit every time I take out my kayak. It's American flag leggings, these ripped, torn, beat the crap shorts, and I wouldn't wear them anywhere else. The crotch is all blown out, the tears and stuff on the side, and same shirt and this hat, man. This hat was with me in Iraq, and it came back with me through thick and thin. It's pretty beat to heck, but it has my unit emblem on it, and I wear that every day, dude. This hat has gone through heck, and I'm wearing a duplicate of it, but I retired my Iraq hat with me. But I wore that on missions quite a bit, when we were able to take off our helmet and whatnot.
I see.
That's sick. Yeah. Vic, I mean, that's awesome, man. And I think this would be a good time. I know before we started the podcast, you're telling us a little bit about this organization that takes veterans fishing.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
I mean, yeah. So they're called Objective 22. I believe they're based out of Rockport, Texas. My aunt Bonnie, they're really good friends with them, and I met them through her. Just because I go down to Rockport, they got a house down there. Anyways, they gave me the business card. Hey, if you want to pass this out or give the information, it has a QR code for any vets or first responders, anybody who may be struggling. Because for me, I suffer from PTSD. I don't do well in crowds. It's hard for me to go out places. I carry every day, right? And if I can't carry in the store due to the laws, then I don't go in. It's simple for me. And it's not that it's a weapon, but it's a shield. That's how I see it. I've seen some pretty bad things, and I don't want my family to have to do that or go through that experience, anything like that. So if I could prevent it, I will. But no, that's sidetrack, and I'm going on a little bit of a rant. But no, they're really good guys, really solid. They're fairly new, so they're starting to build up. Well, they're planning to buy property and make it like a fishing lodge where you can get 4 or 5 of your buddies that were in the military or non. If they're your friends like us, y'all weren't in, but if y'all wanted to go with me, hey, come on, where they'll have lodging and they'll have boats to take you out and all this other stuff. Another good organization that I recommend is Heroes on the Water. They have chapters everywhere. They're mainly kayak based, but they do a lot for the veteran community. Like I said, first responders, all of them. They have plenty of gear, plenty of kayaks. So if you need to get out there, you have the time. Let someone know. Reach out. You can find them on Facebook for both organizations, and I don't know that they really do help out a lot.
That's awesome. So that reminds me of the movie that we talked about briefly on a different podcast called Mending the Line that kind of ties in with that. Have you seen it yet?
No, I plan to though.
Dude, it's such a good movie. Although it is fly fishing.
I haven't seen it either. I need Vic, let's go see it.
Yeah, let's go. Come on. I'm down. Depends on the movie theater though, because if I can't carry, I'm not going to go in the movie theater.
Well, I think you can buy it on some like.
Yeah, I think they're starting to release it on some streaming platforms. So, but yeah, I highly recommend it. But it does talk about some stuff with military and stuff, and how it's therapeutic to get out on the water and to go, just to even cast. Like for instance, the main character, I guess he's one of the main characters. He's the mentor role in the movie. When he's really feeling it, sometimes he just goes out and grabs a rod. Like he just casts. He doesn't even have to be on the water. Where he just kind of goes out into this little grassy knoll area and just starts casting, and it does something for him. So that's something where I can definitely see how fishing or being on the water can be therapeutic for those that are going through stuff, PTSD and whatnot. So.
I mean, yeah, that's a great point. So that kind of brings me into my other question. So, I mean, I know you and I, Victor, we've spent a lot of times outdoors together and stuff like that. But I know you, having served before, obviously you were too busy and gone for too long to be able to do that. So, like, now that you're back and everything like that, do you think you lean on that more now, or not necessarily lean, but I guess actively engage in like fishing, hunting, stuff like that as a form of like therapy or something like that? Like, does it like how has, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how has your experience in the outdoors now compared to like when you were engaging in that before you went?
So for me, before, right, I loved it. We all do, it's something, a great pastime, but since being deployed and all this other stuff and having PTSD and getting overwhelmed, crowded areas, whenever I'm fishing or I'm hunting or whatever the case may be, or I'm taking the kids out on the kayak, it's just everything, all my problems melt away. I will never be the man that I was before I joined the military and did all that stuff. I'm working on trying to get back because my family does suffer from it. I want to take them to, we'll say, Six Flags or SeaWorld and stuff like that, but we have to really pick and choose the days, because if it's overwhelming, there's too many people, then I do my best to try to, stay, but it's hard. I'm working on it, getting better. But I don't know. Whenever I'm out there, none of that matters. All the noise that you always have in your head just kind of quiets down, and I highly recommend it. If you're a veteran and you're going through some stuff, man, try it. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just get out in nature.
Nature definitely helps you ground for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken any of your veteran buddies fishing or hunting with you? Like maybe who hadn't done that beforehand, like just kind of show them.
Yeah. So my buddy Connor Burns, he's up in Ohio. No, where's he at? Anyways, can't remember. Not important. When we were up in North Carolina, he's a country boy, but he's never saltwater fished like how I grew up doing. So we would go down to Myrtle Beach and all these other places, and I'd take him out there, show him how to conventional fish for, we'll say, reds or trout or anything. We got to where we kind of enjoyed it quite a bit, and I don't know. It's just he enjoys it. Now he's getting his family to do it and all this other stuff. And I don't know. It's great.
That's awesome. So you said when y'all were in North Carolina, that brings me to something I wanted to talk about, where there's another organization similar to Objective 22, and it's called Stop Soldier Suicide, and they're actually based out of Durham, North Carolina. And it was founded, it's a nonprofit that was founded by 3 gentlemen that were in the service, and they had lost some of their friends after they had all gotten out due to suicide. And so it's one thing that they're really passionate about, and they wanted to find ways that they could help the community. And their names are Brian Kinsella, Nick Black, and Craig Gradelli. Sorry if I mispronounce any of those names. And they're three friends that just lost fellow service members to suicide, and they're all Army veterans. And they're just determined to create a solution for their fellow veterans who were struggling. And so basically what they do is they're a nonprofit, and they take donations, and they try to have therapeutic sessions or take people out on the water, do something that's going to be beneficial to people that have been, struggling from PTSD and stuff like that. And they're doing a challenge actually starting in the month of August that I'm going to join, and it's called the 30-hour challenge. And basically what they want to do is every person that signs up, they want them to create a fundraiser on Facebook, and they're just using Facebook fundraising to raise the money for their nonprofit. And they want people to just talk with each other and do a total of 30 hours of fishing within the month of August. And so I signed up for it and started my fundraiser. I haven't posted anything about it yet. Want to get a little bit closer to August, and then I'm going to start posting the fundraiser and whatever else. But I reached out, and it's crazy how tight knit the community is just so far that I just put a post that said, who in here is a fly angler? And I've had probably over 30 people just comment, and I've had conversations with people in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Arkansas, Mississippi, Missouri, Texas. I mean, people from everywhere. And we're just holding conversations, and just in the comment section, sending pictures of our best catch and, what kind of fish they typically go for. And there's some people that are new to it, and we're giving each other tips. And I mean, it was just, I'm not big on social media. I'm not big on Facebook, but just the camaraderie here in this group is just amazing. And so I feel like it's going to do great things to be able to do something like that. And so when you were talking about, the organizations earlier that you were mentioning, it reminded me of this, and I could see how it's definitely therapeutic, and it builds a community. I'm even talking to some people on there that are just kind of pulling my chain. Like, they're not a fly angler, but I'm a pilot and I fly to where I'm going to, fish, like just stuff like that. And we still hold on conversations. So, I mean, it's just, I feel like it's a great thing that's going to happen. Cool. And I'll tag both y'all in the pass or the post, and hopefully y'all can join too and try to get 30 hours in on the water in the month of August, and, maybe raise some money for them.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Dude, hell yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm definitely down.
Dude, you can get the boys down in Waterloo to do it. I mean,
for sure.
30, if you're, it's obviously it's like kind of dependent on your location, right? Spatially dependent. But if you can fish an hour a day, easy in the bag. If you're a guide, you can knock that out in a work week.
Yep.
So there's a group here in College Station. I'm gonna present it to the president and see if they'd be down to do it as an organization, and we can all maybe get the whole club involved. I think it'd be an awesome thing. And I love that there are organizations like who use the outdoors in order to promote healing and camaraderie and just kind of to help the community at large. I think that's one of the coolest things about people who, to be fair, there are other organizations, but also like specifically, I guess, outdoorsmen, hunters, fishermen who, help use it as a healing mechanism, and also to get people involved and just kind of spread joy, man. It's a pretty beautiful thing, really, when you think about it.
It is. And that's one thing, is just getting back down to, human nature. Humanity is always in tune with nature. Going back, that's the way that God created this earth. And everybody gets so caught up in the preoccupation of life. And, I got to do this job, and I got to make this much money, and I got to work this many hours. And when you think about it, you do all of that for the ability to go do stuff, or the ability to provide for your family and all of this stuff, but you get caught in the preoccupation of it instead of actually focusing on what it is. And so when you're out in nature, you're just where you're meant to be. Of course, people live in the city and you want to have, these first world things, but even if you're just going to a park, hell, I didn't realize how big Central Park was in New York. Like, I was thinking it was like a little park, but no, it's like 100 acres or something like that. It's massive in New York City. And that's just one thing where you can think about the people that are living in that city, people stacked upon people. And then there's Central Park there. And I wonder how many people go there just to kind of decompress from their day-to-day life. And, all of us, we all live in, areas that are not as heavily populated, of course, as like, the big cities. You being in Victoria, Vic, and Jose being in College Station, me being in Arkansas, they're not rural, but they're closer to that. They're definitely not like big city urban. So we kind of have a little bit more accessibility to go places like that. And I just feel like human nature is to just be around that. And even if it's not for a conscious therapeutic reason, I think it definitely could be therapeutic to those. Like even if it's sitting on a park bench, feeding the ducks at a pond, hiking, fishing, kayaking, just going on a boat, taking a ferry, anything like that. Because I know I used to always take the ferry when I'd go to Port Aransas and get out of the vehicle and watch the dolphins jump. There's always something that's going to make somebody relax. And so just getting out there, and there's the fact that all these organizations are actually doing that, I just think is amazing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Dude, there's a study that I had heard about. I'm going to probably butcher it. I can't get the specifics. I don't remember it too well. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they were comparing the rates of recovery in patients who were like, I guess, had window views, if that makes sense. Like they had the ability to see vegetation and like nature versus patients who were just kind of like who didn't have that kind of view, who had like maybe they just saw buildings and urban landscapes, stuff like that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sorry, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe the patients who had views of like more natural scenery actually had higher rates of recovery.
Really?
Versus those that did not. Yeah. And so, and I truly believe that us, like you had mentioned, us as humans, it's before we had the amenities and things that we had now, we were way more in touch with nature as it was. And I think to a degree, we still inherently, maybe in our primal nature, have that within us. And of course, it manifests itself in different ways. Like a lot of us like to hunt and fish and stuff like that. Others like to hike. Others just, maybe they're not totally into that, but they enjoy sitting on a park bench watching the squirrels and birds and stuff like that. However one chooses to recreate, I think it's fair to say that just being in nature is healing in and of itself. Especially like during COVID, a lot of people took to like hiking and fishing or whatever, just because they needed that to get out. Like being stuck in a room is not where we're meant to be. That's
exactly
not how we evolved to be. And and nature is an incredibly powerful thing, I think. And I just think it's awesome that organizations, I feel like they recognize that and use that as a way to heal, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
So I know I've talked to y'all, I believe, about this offline of what I plan to do eventually one day. Fingers crossed. For me, I want to eventually get a boat, get my guide license, and all that, and I don't want to do it to make money as far as guide fishing out here. I want to do it to take out veterans when they get the opportunity to go, like all these other organizations that we've talked about, right? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is like they have certain events, like at this time, this month, this day, or whatever. Well, not everybody has that, Like I'm blessed. I could text my boss, "Hey, I want to go fishing tomorrow," and he lets me go. Really, no questions asked. He asked me, "Hey, did you have any luck? Where'd you go?" That type of stuff. But I mean, other people who have 9-to-5s or working shift jobs or whatever the case may be, they don't get that. So I want to be able to have that opportunity where it's free of charge. You just let me know. Come on, you can get at the dock at this time. We'll be out on the water. It doesn't matter. So eventually, one day, hopefully, I'll be able to get that all said and done. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. So
have you taken any steps in order to see what's going to be needed to do something like that?
Well, so I've haven't. Oh, yes, I have. So I'm in the process of getting my captain's license. I won't do it if it's online. I have to be in a class. So that's just me. I'll end up messing around with my kids if I have to be at home doing it online. So once I get that scheduled, and then you have to pay Texas Parks and Wildlife. I believe it's $500 for a year, right? for you to be able to guide. And guiding is essentially, like, say I have a boat, right, and I'm not a guide. I'm like, hey, let's go out. I don't know y'all, but y'all pay for my gas or whatever, pay for bait. Well, that's illegal, right? Because you're not a legal guide and you can't take any compensation for what you're doing. So I want to, just in case I take a vet out and they're like, hey, man, you want this for gas? Well, yeah. It'll help out. You know, I'm not going to say, no, don't do it, but I'm not going to ask for anything either, you know? So, but I don't know. That's basically it. I've been looking at other boats and stuff like that. I got to knock down some payments, you know, like truck payment and all this other stuff. Truck's almost paid off. And so I'll switch my truck payment for a boat payment, you know, and we'll be good there, you know. So it's just a matter of time.
So with it being a technically a non-for-profit, is that something where you could start up like a non-profit organization to where you'll get like a tax ID, but it's not an actual business company?
Yes. And so I use H&R Block because I'm not smart and to do TurboTax. I know it's plug and play, but the lady that I've been working with since I got out of the military, her name is Jerry Jones, amazing woman. She was willing to help me with everything. She gave me her personal number. If I have any questions, she really wants to get behind me and help me set this up right. So I'll probably end up doing that.
That would be awesome.
And she's going to handle all the labor.
Whenever that time comes, let us know, man. We'll happily promote anything that you're trying to get going with that, because I mean, obviously it's for a good cause and it's kind of within the same realm of what we talk about. So that sounds exciting, man.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But on a different subject, Jose had mentioned in the past podcasts about his Cabela's rod, first fly rod. I dug mine out and I still have it, and I sent a few pictures of it, I believe. And
when's the last time you've actually got it on out on the water?
Out on the water, years. I'm not gonna lie. Probably last time.
Dude, we got to change that.
It's been that long
since I fly fished with that rod. Yes. But I have been going out after the kids go down. It's nighttime, but I get out and practice my casting because I got a pretty big front yard and stuff like that. So when I got the opportunity to go fishing, or I got invited to go fly fishing, right, on my buddies. He built a John skiff, right, and it's the video I sent Russell. Anyways, he invited me, asked me if I've been practicing. I said, yeah. Unfortunately, the time he invited me, me and my wife had plans to go down to Rockport, so I wasn't going to be able to make it. But he's like, next time, dude, you're coming. And part of me, I was a little scared and glad that we had plans, because I didn't want to embarrass myself out there, you know, when it's game time and I can't hold up my side of it, you know. But
man, well, you need to get out there soon, man. I'm actually coming into town. Well, I'm going to Rockport on the 28th here at the end of the month. It'd be nice if both of y'all could make a trip down there. I'll be coming in on the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. And my dad, I'm going to spend some time with him on the 29th. So I plan on staying just north of Austin on the night of the 27th. I'm going to meet up with my buddy Daryl, and we're going to swap our kayaks that we've been saying we're going to swap since he bought his, because he got the bona fide that I wanted and I got the bona fide he wanted. So we're going to swap them. Hang out with him for a bit, stay the night, and then head out, you know, at the ass crack of dawn. So I'm hoping to be in Rockport pretty early. So if y'all can swing it, man, maybe on Friday the 28th, we can go get out on the water.
Dude.
Hey, let me know and I'll be there.
Hell yeah, man. I have to go to the field the week from, was it 24th to the 28th, something like that. I have to go to the field. So I'm hoping I can make it back in time to meet you guys in Rockport.
Dude, that would be badass. Worst case scenario, me and Vic will just go ahead and get on some fish and just send you pictures.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Hey,
I'll even bring out the fly rod.
Dude, you can't do that if I'm up there.
Dude, what if Vic hooks into this massive 50-inch redfish on the fly rod and lands it, and you're not there?
Dude, I wouldn't surprise. I don't know what it is about Vic, but he's got the craziest luck when it comes to fishing. There's this one time. Let me tell you guys another story. There's this one time we're camping down at a place called Krause Springs in Spicewood, Texas. It was during the spring break. Bass were bedding up, and we found this bedded bass. It wasn't big, maybe like 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, something like that. And I cannot even tell you how many people tried to get this bass off this bed. Even me, I spent like an hour. Victor and I spent like an hour, and then finally Victor was like, "I'm just gonna throw a bare hook." It was literally a bare hook. It was a wide gap worm hook, if I'm not mistaken. And he threw it in there, and I had turned around to walk away, and I hear splashing, and I hear Vic yelling, and I was like, what? And I wheeled around, and Vic's rod's bent over, and he yanks his bass out of his bed. I was like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? I threw literally everything I had in my tackle box, and all you needed was a bare ass hook, and you caught this fish. And then the same place, different time, but same place, I was finally beating Victor, like in terms of fish caught, right? I was beating.
No, you
dude, yes, I
weren't.
was. Hold on. I was beating everybody up until the last day, and then Victor just starts putting on a clinic, catching bass, catching catch, catching everything. And then there's this little creek that we had to kind of walk to get to, and Victor had the spinner bait. And the creek is shallow, man. I mean, it is like, I don't even know. At least as far as I could see, it was shallow. And Victor tosses this freaking spinnerbait across the creek and starts burning it back. And I was like, dude, it's too shallow, man. There ain't no bass there. You ain't going to catch shit. And sure enough, dude, I just see the blades like stop turning. I see a wake. I see Vic's rod just bend over, and he starts yelling, "I got a fish! I got a fish!" And he not only did he that was the fish that made him beat me, but not only that, it was also the biggest fish of the trip. It was like a 4-pound largemouth.
Damn,
out of this little tiny creek, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, freaking Victor, man, this guy can catch a fish out of a puddle. I don't know what it is. He's got the craziest luck when it comes to fishing, man. It is redonkulous.
Dude, that's how my buddy Jason is.
Oh,
we used to always go out fishing. There's in a town south of Austin, there's a golf course, and there's a body of water next to said golf course. And me and Jason used to frequent it. We'd go there all the time. This was back before I was a fly fisherman. And he always outfished me. I mean, he would catch more fish. He would catch bigger fish. He would catch prettier fish. Whatever the case was, he was always outfishing me in every way possible, which was fine. I mean, I was just, I'd enjoy fishing as it was. And one day I was out fishing him. I caught like 5 to his 2. And I was, oh, hell yeah, I'm finally beating Jason. And we're walking out, and there's this little tiny sliver of the pond that goes to like a little creek area, and it goes under the sidewalk that you walk on to go there and to leave. And there's in this little finger, I mean, there's reeds and there's hydrilla, and this is late spring. And so I'm sure that they're, probably up and stuff like that, getting their cover. And I was like, there's probably fish in there, but I'm not going to cast. He's like, man, I think I want to cast it. I said, good luck. You're going to get stuck. And he cast, and immediately he goes, which I don't know, Vic, you probably never met Jason. Jose's met Jason. He's just very, he gets excited, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, dude, I got this fish. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, you're hung up on reeds. And he starts reeling, and this dude pulls out a damn near double-digit bass, like a 9-pound largemouth bass. He caught 3 feet off the bank. And I'm like, the one day that I'm beating this guy, and then he pulls this out on the literal last cast when we're walking out in this little frick. Dude, I was so pissed. I mean, of course, I was like, I got to take pictures of this. So I got pictures of him holding it. Massive freaking largemouth just sitting right there. I was like, dude, I was so pissed. Dude, I've never beat that dude, ever.
Vic did that to me at a pond one time. So his uncle has this private pond, right? And so he invited me to go fishing with them there one time. I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. And we're actually like pretty close. Like, we were, at least for me that I can remember, we never like out loud exclaimed that we were going to have a contest to see who can catch the most fish. But I felt it was just an unspoken competition to see who could. And this time it was pretty close, but I think I might have been in the lead by 1 fish, maybe. And then Vic throws on this jig. He ends up catching, at least up to that point, the largest bass I've ever seen in my life. It was an 8+ pounder, easy. And because he tossed it out and he like hooked this thing. And he's like, I got a fish. I was like, dude, your line's not even moving. You hooked a log or something. And then it started moving. And then the head comes up and breaks the surface. I was like, oh, my God. It was talk about a bucket of a mouth, dude. This thing was so big. It couldn't even like jump. And he finally fought it. And his dad was there. He saw it too. He's like, Vic, don't lose this fish. He was freaking out. His sister was there. We were all freaking out. And sure enough, man, he lands that fish. It was huge, dude. Huge. I was like, God, freaking Victor. Like, I'm so happy for you right now, but I'm so mad at the same time.
Dude, that's how I felt when you caught that damn koi, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the koi
Yeah,
fish.
dude, I was like
fun.
so jealous, but I was happy for you, but I was like, man, it's some bullshit. Dude, my freaking daughter Adeline, my youngest, she has similar luck to freaking Vic. We were out there one day. My coworker invited me to go out fishing at his aunt's place, and on the stretch of river that they're out, it's right off the lake, and whites run through there. Excuse me, whites run through there, yellows run through there, hybrids run through there. There's largemouth, there's spotted, there's smallmouth, there's brim, there's carp, there's like everything is in that body of water. And we're out there fishing, and I'm fly fishing. My buddy's conventional fishing. He's using worms. He's using cut bait. He's using lures. He's using soft plastics. He's using poppers. He's using crankbaits. He's using rattle traps. He's using stick baits. I'm using every fly in my fly box, and we're not catching anything. We're out there. I mean, we're just shooting the shit, hanging out, whatever, wishing we were catching stuff. But I mean, we were stopping a good time, having a couple of drinks as it was. So it was fine. And so it was getting pretty late, and Adeline, her bedtime's 8:00. So it starts getting to 9 and 10 o'clock. She starts getting real antsy, and she kept coming in and out of the house. And then she told me she had to go potty. So I took her potty, comes back out, and she said she wanted to fish. She has this little 2-foot long Moana rod from Walmart. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to let her fish, but we don't have any worms or whatever. I'm going to throw a bear hook out and just let her think she's fishing. She was like 3 at the time. And so I've cast it out there, and she's holding the rod, and then she starts like laughing and giggling, and I'm like, what? And I turn around, and her freaking bobber's gone, and I'm like, what the heck? Because it was a bear hook. It was like a little bitty like mosquito hook or something, like this little tiny thing, and just on a bobber, and her rod's been over, and she's reeling, and it's like clicking like it's trying to peel drag on those little POS rods, and I'm like, she has to be hung up on, like, what? But it's like deep water, and I only had maybe a foot below the bobber. What's going on? And so I grabbed the rod, and I'm like, and I feel it fighting. I was like, that's a fish. So I let her reel it in, and she catches this bluegill that was like bigger than my hand, this freaking slab bluegill on an empty hook. When we'd been fishing with live bait and fly for at least 3 hours, not catching one fish. And then she caught this slab bluegill on a bare hook at night. It's not like it saw it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? But she was super excited. She was holding it. She wanted to kiss it. She wanted to release it. And I was just like, what are the freaking odds, man?
Man, that's freaking out.
Yeah, that reminds me. So talking about kissing fish and superstitious stuff, every single fish that I catch, I always give it a kiss and say, get bigger,
That's
sweetheart,
awesome.
and let it go. I think that's why I got the luck. I mean, I don't know, because they're like, oh, if this guy catches me, he's going to kiss me.
They're like, we like that little twisted
know?
mustache you got. We need a kiss from that guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So for me, whenever I go fishing, I don't always keep fish, but when I do,
Yeah.
if like I'm going fishing for the idea of maybe keeping one or whatever, the first fish that I catch, let me rephrase that. The first keeper fish that I catch, I always let it go. Always. Even if I may not catch one for the rest of the day, that's fine with me. But I always let it go as like a thing of good faith, like a token of appreciation, That's just like my superstitious thing. And it's kind of funny because there was a podcast, Meat Eater, Stephen Ranillo was talking about the story that the hunters in Alaska, if they shot like a bear or something, they would take the skull or something like that and put it in near the dinner table where it could like see them eating. So that way they could, I guess, with the idea being that the bear could see that it is being used for food and for like good memory and like, just for the family to kind of have like a good time. Like that is not going to waste or being misused in any way.
Yeah.
So that way it could then somehow communicate to the other bears that like, hey, if I know being shot sucks, but if you were to be shot by anybody, being shot by this dude ain't the worst thing that could happen to you. You know? I just found that really, really interesting.
It's crazy how stuff comes back around like that.
Yeah.
Like you do something good for something and it rewards you. I was listening to, I want to say it was the Secret Society of Fly Tyers podcast, and they had Alvin Dedeaux on, and y'all know his Dedeaux popper?
Yeah.
So, do you know like the origin of that?
Flip flops.
Yeah, it was a flip flop. And so they were talking about how, how it even came about. And he picked up a flip flop on his way out from the river and didn't think anything of it, and ended up, when he went to go throw it away, deciding to tie something out of it because it was foam, And, it's turned into this big thing for him, which has been a blessing. And they were like, well, maybe it's good karma. You're doing something good, cleaning up the environment, and it turns around and rewards you with that. So I was like, that's crazy, and then we all have all these stories of good things that we've done and how we've been rewarded. So I have to start doing more good stuff.
Dude, hey man, those Dedeaux poppers, I've tied a few. Those things will catch a fish, man.
I've never thrown one before.
They're super easy to tie, but man, they're pretty fun little fly to fish.
That's awesome, man. Maybe I need to tie some up. Dude, I haven't sat behind the vise in too damn long.
I know. I haven't tied as nearly as much as I used to. Actually, I need to. This had a friend reach out and ask if I could whip him up a few flies for the hill country, and I just haven't. I need to.
What do you think? You're going to tie up some reel getters, some lunch monies?
He mentioned he mentioned the Lano bug specifically, which is one of my favorite flies to tie. So, and I got to tie some anyways. I don't have very many in my box, so I'm going to tie him some of those. And then I think he mentioned something for Rio, so I'm going to probably tie him a few Rio getters, maybe some Rio Banditos, and then I might throw in some like smaller streamers and stuff that I've had luck throwing around the hill country, and see how it works out for him.
That's awesome. Yeah, we can't get Vic on all these fly patterns and whatnot, because then he's going to start out fishing us with the fly rod next time we take him.
Dude.
Hey, if it happens, it happens.
So there's this one time. Well, let me back up a little bit. Yeah, on the Texas coast, I heard about a dude who would nymph for sheep's head, and he would throw, if I'm not mistaken, like those little, like the lightest little white crappie jigs that you can find, because it has a marabou tail. I think it has like a chenille body or something, and just has a little jig head, right? And he would slay sheep's head with that. But I remember there's this one time, again, Victor and I went to the coast. We went to Port Aransas this time. And there was this other family who went with us. They had two kids, Joel, and I can't remember his sister's name or cousin's name.
Anna.
Yes, Anna. Yeah, Anna. And so Joel had never really fished much beforehand. And so there was this one time we went to this pier, and it was really frustrating because there was a massive school of trout at the very end. We could see them. They were coming up. They were popping. Like they were eating stuff off the surface. But we couldn't. And we were throwing little speck rigs. And we could, which we've had luck with throwing before. But we could not, for the life of us, catch a trout to save our lives, right? And Joel went to the tackle box, and he found one of those little crappie jigs, one of those little marabou things. But it was ratty looking. Like it had barely any body to it left, barely any feathers to it left. It was essentially a bare hook, really. And Victor and I both looked at him like, dude, you ain't gonna catch nothing with that. He goes, well, we ain't catching nothing anyways. I'm gonna try. and so, dude, not 5 seconds after we said that, like it was almost instantaneous. He threw that, and it started kind of drifting with the current, and his rod bent over, and he was lifting up this trout, and it got off the hook. But me and Victor looked at each other, we're like, holy crap! So we ran back to the tackle box. And we found some more of those little jigs, and we stripped it, dude. We stripped the tails, we stripped the body. It was essentially just a little jig head and a hook. And what we would do is we would throw it up current and let it swing into the school of trout. Uh-huh. And me and Victor put on a clinic, man. We were catching so many fish. We were catching some pretty nice, like keeper-sized trout too. And everybody at the pier they were having the same luck that we were having beforehand. And they started asking us, dude, what are you throwing? We're like, oh, it's just a secret weapon. We didn't tell them what it was.
Yeah. And I remember having one of the bodies of the speck rigs in my pocket.
Oh, yeah, you did do that.
They catch your fish. They take it off. So I've just been replacing it. I don't know. I just put it under the light.
That poor guy. He's like, oh, yeah, I think I got one of those in my tackle box.
Got to mislead them so they don't find the secret weapon.
And dude, I don't think that dude ever caught a fish, but me and Vic were tearing them up, boy. Dude. And poor Joel, I think he maybe caught two after that. But me and Vic
We were
Dude, yeah,
doubling
me
up
and Vic
all
were
the time.
killing
Dude,
it.
that's
man.
awesome.
That was fun.
I used to
That was
tear up
fun.
the specs on a spec rig at the end of the lights at nighttime on Copano Bay when they're chasing the little shrimp and
Yeah.
stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and you hold the glow bait in front of the light.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I wonder if we could
Yeah,
tie up some, get some like offset fly hooks with a bead head, tungsten bead head, and some chenille and some marabou, and tie up some jigs that are, you know, better suited for fly rod.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And then
I
try
think
to
you
tear
I mean,
up
should.
some trout.
they have like those little they have like that mop material, those little mop flies, whatever.
Oh, dude. There's such a bad stigma on mop flies, but they catch fish,
I know,
man.
dude. Everybody hates on mop flies, but they
Dude, on
catch
the Little
fish.
Red, we tore up a bunch of sizable rainbow trout below the dam on some mop flies. I mean, we weren't catching anything. We'd already made a couple passes, and we'd caught probably, I don't know, maybe it was me and Brian actually when he was up here, and we went out on the Little Red with a guide, and we caught, I'd say probably 20 rainbows at that point. We decided to make one pass. They started generating. And the guide's like, y'all want to go have some fun and throw some mop flies in the current? And so we went up there and we're just slinging mop flies, and we caught a few. But they were the biggest fish of the day that we caught. Were on those mop flies.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
Man.
good time.
Yeah.
Man. Freaking good time.
We all need to get out on the water, man. When I come in a couple of weeks, we all need to try to make it happen. Hopefully you can get done out in the field soon enough to make it, Joe.
I hope so, man. We gotta do. We gotta check some cameras. Where we have some camera traps set out right now, so we need to go. I think we got to move a few around, maybe decommission some. I'm not too sure yet. And then we are going to do some drone flights over some of my plots. Get some pre-burn data because we're going to try and have a prescribed burn, hopefully in August.
Nice.
Maybe September. But so last year we didn't have a prescribed burn because it was too dry and we didn't really have any fuel on the ground. There was just not good conditions for a burn. Mm-hmm. This year we removed some of the cattle from some of the livestock from some of these pastures to try and get some fuel to grow. And luckily we had some rains and it's looking pretty good. So there's much more fuel than there was before. I think the only issue or the main issue is going to be fuel continuity, but fire behavior is generally fairly random as it is. It's just kind of based on the landscape and the features, continuity, and things like that anyway. So as long as we get a burn, I think it'll be, it should be good. I need one bad, or the project needs one bad. So hopefully we'll get that done. But that won't be this week. So this week, realistically, if weather permits, it'll be 2-3 days worth of work, and I can come back.
Nice.
Hopefully, make it back in time and go meet you guys at the coast.
That would be awesome. So speaking kind of on what you're just speaking, obviously I don't know too much of what you do on your project and stuff, but do you remember Hunter Lehman that we went to school with?
Yes.
So he was, So he was on a podcast. It's the Grazing Grass podcast, and I didn't know that he went to A&M Kingsville.
I was about to say, I was like, we went to school with that dude?
Yeah, he went to Lehman. His family's like Lehman family. I think he's a year or two younger than us.
That's crazy.
He played baseball. But yeah, so I made a post earlier, but he was on the Grazing Grass podcast, and he was talking a lot about how they're having to move cattle and all sorts of stuff, coming up with that. And dude, it's I'm not into range and wildlife by any means, but it was a very interesting podcast to listen to. So any of our listeners out there, if you want to check out something to do with that, he's very passionate about wildlife and then kind of moved more into like grazing and stuff like that. And I mean, it seems like he really knows his stuff, but y'all should check out that podcast. But yeah, Jose, I feel like you would really enjoy listening to it. So you should check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I know that name.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we probably have crossed paths like at a conference or even just just around campus because the campus is so small. I never realized that he went to our high school.
Yep.
That's crazy. Small world.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, man, I feel like range and wildlife sciences are kind of overlooked at times by the general public. Like
Most definitely.
there is a lot that goes into like cattle and livestock and range other than just like feeding and whatever whatever the general perspective of that might be. And so I think it'd be a good listen And another one I think is there's a podcast from out of Kingsville. I think it's called A Talk on the Wild Side. I think it was actually hosted by one of the professors that I had. And I've listened to a few episodes. It's really good, but she has a lot of professors and professionals within the field of range wildlife management go on and talk about stuff. That's really, really, really interesting, really good listen as well.
I'll have to take a listen to that one.
Yeah, I really I enjoy it. It's a pretty good podcast too.
That's awesome. Well, Vic, we appreciate you jumping on the podcast, man. I mean, it's been a lot of good back and forth, some good information shared. Hopefully we'll have you on again, man. I know we got a lot of stories that we could tell and share with others. So, man, I hope to have you on soon. So we appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, brother.
Heck yeah, man. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Before we sign off, are there any last words, anything else you'd like to share, Vic, about these, maybe some of those organizations or anything else you may have missed?
I think I covered it pretty good. I mean, check it out. You know what I mean? Even if you're not a veteran, check it out. If you want to volunteer, you know, they're always taking people who are willing to volunteer.
Something we can do.
You know,
dude, that would be awesome.
We can look into also as a podcast thing, go and volunteer on a weekend or something. I think that'd be pretty sick.
I agree. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Well, Vic, thanks. It was a lot of fun, man. We got to catch up some more, do some more fishing like the old days. Hopefully at the end of the month.
Hopefully here in a couple weeks.
Most definitely.
Oh, come on, man! You can't embarrass us like
that. We should have a fly versus conventional
dude.
If y'all want to get smoked, I mean,
have y'all ever watched that YouTube channel? I don't remember what the channel's called, but they do. They call it Fly versus Jerk. They're based out of Sweden or Norway, and they do a lot of pike fishing, and it's conventional versus fly. And there's a guy's name's Niklaus Bauer.
That's awesome.
He has, y'all should check him out on Instagram. I'll put his Instagram in the show notes. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but he has a lot of good content on his stuff. But the YouTube channel is freaking awesome. But they'll do competitions, conventional versus fly for big, northern pike. So we should do something like that. Yeah. I mean, of course, we'll be fishing Vic's waters, so it'll be tough. But
hey, I'll go fish your waters. I'll fish your waters. It don't matter.
Unfair, like talk about home field advantage.
Make it fair.
Right.
Or we could go somewhere else. You know, one good thing about being a disabled vet, right, is I get free access to all Texas state parks anywhere. Me and my family were up to 3 guests. So if y'all ever want to go, let me know. We'll take out the kayaks.
Sounds like a trip to Lano might be
whichever one. Yeah, that way it's even.
Well, I don't know.
Jose
has a lot of experience on that river, but
not a lot, man.
Right, more than me.
Not as much as I'd like to have. I love Atlanta, but
that'd be awesome.
we gotta figure something out, man.
For real.
Go catch some fish. Maybe I don't know, cook out steaks or ceviche, redfish, whatever we can catch.
Dude, some redfish ceviche sounds amazing.
Catch and cook.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Catch and cook.
Yes,
man. Mm-hmm.
Maybe a turtle or two.
I saved a turtle one time over there in Port Aransas. My niece come across. It was like 120-pound sea turtle, and it was beached and it was covered in barnacles and stuff. And so they have that. Is it the University of Texas or is it A&M Center that they have there on Port Aransas? In Port Aransas, there's a. It's one of the two. It's either UT or Texas A&M, but they have a what's it called? A wildlife biology. What's biology called for the ocean?
Marine biology?
There you go. They have a marine biology. They have a marine biology center there with a turtle sanctuary. And so before we left, me and my niece took a trip over there, and they had the turtle in this big enclosure, and it was all cleaned up and swimming around there, making sure it was all healthy before they released it. I thought it was pretty cool. But dude, that turtle was massive. The guy that we called, because they got the sea turtle numbers all along the beach, and so I called. Guy come out, he couldn't pick it up by himself, so I had to help him lift it in the truck. And dude, that thing was freaking huge.
It's really impressive how big sea turtles can get. It's wild. Every time I think of sea turtles, I can't help but think about the ones from Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, Crush and Squirt.
I love
Crush
it.
And Squirt.
Give me some fins.
Noggin. Dude. I freaking love that movie.
Oh, I know.
Heck yeah, me too.
Well, I guess we're coming up on time, man. So we appreciate you coming on, and we definitely need to stay in touch. And hopefully we can get out and do some fishing all together soon. And other than that, man, we appreciate you hopping on.
Heck yeah, man. Happy to be here. Thank you all
Thanks,
again.
bro. Good catching up.
And we'd like to thank the listeners. And if you made it to the end, we appreciate it. You could share with all your friends, family. It'd be awesome if you could, post us or anything like that. We're trying to get the word out there that we're trying to, make something out of this, but we appreciate everybody listening. And so if you could share with family, we'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, if there's any questions you guys have or any comments, we'd be more than happy to have any of those as well. So please don't feel intimidated to reach out by any means. We'd love to hear from you guys. And thanks for joining. I think it was a fun episode.
Definitely was. We'll catch y'all next time.
This has been Wildlife Outdoors. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Wildlife Outdoors and on Instagram at wild.life.outdoors. Let's go live life on the wild side.